How's it going, guys? So a bit of a different setup today. I've just moved to the Gold Coast and I'm living in Airbnb currently, so hence a weird background. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make the drop from Silva Bumpa's track Feel It. This is what it sounds like. Great, all of the drums and presets from my garage packs, so the Serum preset pack and also the drum preset pack. You can download them from my website, the link for that is in the description. You can also download this project from my Patreon, the link for that is also below, and it only costs about $6 a month. Let's get on with it. Great, so I'm going to mute the vocal for now and just hear what the instrumental sounds like. Great, we're going to start firstly with the drums. So firstly we've got this kick, sounds like this. So this is from my UK garage pack and it's the raw kick. So yeah, really thumpy and nice and low frequencies filling up the spectrum with this one. And you've also got this drum bus which is thickening up a little bit, so without it, with it. So yeah, really nice and heavy there. We then move on and we have the hi-hats. So this is a loop that I've chopped up, it's the cash loop. What I didn't like about it was the snare. I don't feel like it matched the track, so I've just chopped the snare out, hence why there's little gaps. So I've just chopped all the snares out, so you're left with just the hats at the top. So yeah, in the top you've got the offbeat snare and also the main hi-hat. I've got no processing on that. We then have this snare, sounds like this. So that's just the ripe snare, and again, no processing. Lastly, we have this shaker, sounds like this. I then have side chained it to the kick at about 64% using Kickstart, which is definitely the best side chain plugin available, and it only costs about 15 quid, so really worth buying. What I've then done is extracted the groove, so you right click, and then up here, extract groove. I then applied that groove to the snare, and also before I chop this up I applied it to this. I mean, you could do it after as well, just consolidate it like so, and then yeah, down here groove and then click the brev shaker. So yeah, when you apply the swing to all of the drums, you always want to do that and make sure that if you're adding different loops, they're likely going to have different swings on them, so you want to consolidate them, quantize them. So click here, click quantize. I wouldn't do it to that one because I'm extracting from that, but then for this one I'd click quantize, and then I would apply that brev, and then commit. So then that just means that all your drum loops are in the same rhythm, and they're not going to be clashing at all. So we then lastly have the bass, which is sort of the star of the show. Sounds like this. So I'm going to start with the MIDI. That's probably the most important thing with this style. So start with F, and as you can see, it's sort of all over the place. So it's completely filled out, so there's no gaps or anything like that. So if I was to be starting this from scratch, just to note as well, this is an exact same MIDI as the original because it was quite hard to replicate. But yeah, so I'd start with F because that's the root note. And then I'd sort of build the bass line like this. And then I'd just obviously pick the notes. In 11 you can do this a much simpler way. But yeah, make sure I've got all the notes here that I need. So then I'd just go along. Maybe even go up. So you keep that there, and then with the last note we go up even further to C, and then extend that all the way. And then what you're doing is just sort of adding random notes in. So let me just make this a bit taller. So say here, and I'd go maybe up here, and I'm just obviously just clicking any of the blues. They're gonna sound alright. Some are gonna sound better than others, but you've just got to play around with it. So let's hear it with the drop, with the vocal. So obviously that's very rough, and I did that very quickly. So yeah, then you could just play around with it. So maybe this would sound better down here. Yeah, so just play around with it and you'll get something you like eventually. Obviously don't speed run it like I just did. Obviously it's not going to sound as good as it could. I probably spent about 5 minutes doing that. What you also should note is that there's A and then there's B. So if you look at the notes just zoomed in, you can see that it's slightly different in variations, and also look, that's building up like that, and that whereas that goes up and down. Just sort of did that to add some variation. So yeah, and then also C is exactly the same as that, but yeah, there's a little bit more variation in there. So yeah, it's all about variety, and also maybe down this sort of way you could add even more additions. So you could add, maybe that would go be all the way up here. You know, you just got to play around with it. But yeah, definitely start with this sort of bottom note and then add these top notes on top of that. This sort of is the main bass line, and then these are the sort of additional notes on top. So yeah, that is pretty much it, guys. I'm going to show you the Serum preset patch. So I've used the preset for my pack, Bass Speedy G. It's a really nice one. All we've got is 2 saw waves. So if you want to copy this, 2 saw waves, fine-tuned, so detuned by 35 each way. We've then got this sub, which just thickens it up. And in terms of the rest of it, we've got this macro on the filter, so you can so yeah, you can obviously move that up and down however you please. Open it up and down. In terms of effects, you've got this distortion, we've got this filter, which actually isn't doing anything because it's off. So get rid of that. Compression, which isn't actually doing anything really, or it is, but the gain's not up. But yeah, that's just pretty basic. I think that's the standard when you open it up. And I've got this EQ taken off the top end. And reverb, giving it some space, and then a hyper, making it wider. Making it a lot wider in the stereo field, which I think sounds better on these sort of old school garage basses. So yeah, is there much else to it? Not really. Pretty simple patch, but yeah, really nice and sounds good. Make sure you've got it in mono, if you want your bass to be in mono. Great guys, I hope you enjoyed. I will see you next time.